Welcome to the Graybeard Chronicles podcast. Your hosts, Brian Halstead and Kevin Harkins, are two gray-bearded patriots who love God, their family and friends, and their country. The Graybeards are here to inspire, inform, and educate you on a myriad of topics they are passionate about. Brian and Kevin have a strong desire to share this with you to help you live your best life. Sit back and enjoy this amazing podcast as the Graybeards pass along the wisdom of the ages.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. I'm Brian Halstead.
And I'm Kevin Harkins.
And Kevin, we're here to pass along some wisdom of the ages. What the heck does that mean?
We're not perfect, but we do have gray beards. And that means we've got some significant life experience, some life lessons, and some perspectives that are worthy of passing along.
Well, I think that sums it up nicely. Let's get to it. Good evening, Mr. Longer in the tooth than me. How are you?
Wow, there's a greeting.
Yeah.
Longer than tooth.
Yeah, go ahead and smile. Yeah, look at those long teeth. All right. Anyway.
Look at that long teeth. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm a little longer than the tooth. I'm a little wiser. I'm not gonna feel bad about your youthfulness and lack of experience.
We're gonna have to do a new podcast here before too long. Sex in your 60s.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just gonna have to ask you questions because obviously I have no knowledge of that.
You won't know, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I told you that I gotta call this out. I told you that my mother texted me about that subject that we had a podcast on, right? Sex in your 50s.
You did.
Yeah,
You did.
and she's like, and she started down this, and this was a text conversation. She's like,
Yeah.
there's, and I'm like, just stop right there.
Don't even go there.
We're no. I don't know what you're thinking. I think I might have an idea where you're headed with this, and I do not want to hear it.
Yes. Yeah, isn't that funny? You just, everybody does it, but for some people, it's just somehow you don't want to hear about it.
That's right. Oh,
Your parents would fall into that category, right?
most definitely.
Not just yours, but all of ours.
Yes, anyone's parents. Yeah, you don't want to hear about
Right.
it.
So I understand that you've been studying Sir Isaac Newton lately.
Oh, somebody has misled you. Maybe a little bit. No, I guess I might have delved into it just a tiny bit in preparation for this conversation.
So there he was under the tree, and the apple fell down, and next thing you know, he was inventing all kind of laws of physics.
Yeah.
There you go, right? That's
Sometimes it's just a good smack in the head that'll, change things for you.
Did it land on his head, or did it just land somewhere nearby, or what? Or is it all just a
I
big?
don't know. I wasn't there, so
Yeah. Maybe, perhaps we'll never know. There must be something about it.
So what are we talking about tonight? You kind of throwing that little nugget out there.
Yeah, just that little teaser. We're talking about a topic that I think is very well captured in, I'm going to sound really smart here, Newton's third law of motion, which is, in one way to word it is, I want to get it exactly right. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And he's talking about motion and objects and forces on objects and all that. And I don't want to get into the physics law, but what I do want to do is talk about the direct applicability of that concept. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction as it applies to our lives. And I don't know why I was thinking about this recently, but I was, and probably because I was thinking about something in my life that I wasn't satisfied with. And so that's a question that we all have to ask ourselves is there something in your life that you're not happy with, that you think you could do better? And then you say, wow, how did I get here? That's another question. How did I get to this point where I'm at in any area of life that you may not be satisfied with? And unfortunately, this is really true. When you start peeling the layers of the onion back, what you realize is you are right where you brought yourself,
Right.
as a result of the actions that you've poured into it that have caused you to arrive at that spot. That's the reaction.
Yeah.
Your actions have caused you to arrive at this equal opposite reaction. You get what you put into it, basically, is another way to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. You are squarely located where your thoughts, behaviors, and actions have landed you.
Yeah. And sometimes that's not an easy concept for people to actually adopt and to take on, I believe. A lot of people want to kind of blame circumstances. They want to blame other people. They want to blame the world. They want to blame the president. They want to blame their spouse, for what is going on in their life.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is, if you are unhappy about where you're at in life in some area, you got to own it, man. That's your doing. You have arrived right where, this is a generalization, but you got to own that. You are, as an adult, you are right where you brought yourself. And so I think that's the first step, is to accept that and own it.
Your volume is doing weird stuff, man.
Is it?
Yeah, you were like, a nice level tone, and then all of a sudden it went like really deep and had this great baritone effect. I don't know what that was.
Huh. It's just my great baritone voice. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Maybe you were getting ready to break into song. I don't know.
Huh. Okay. Maybe it's just my dynamic effervescence.
Yeah. Or you're getting pumped up and starting to project even more.
That could be it. That
Yeah.
could be it as well. But are you tracking with me on this? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I absolutely understand what you're saying. And you're right about, people in our society seem to have a tendency to want to place blame on other people, the blame game. And
Right.
it's just, you are the common denominator in every single success or failure in your life.
Yeah, that's right.
That's it. Now, the one thing that one way that you said something I would challenge a little bit, and it's only because of a mindset for me. The whole, if you're not happy with the way this, while there are things in my life that have not, I have not put the effort in to make them the way I want them. It doesn't mean I'm not happy about it, right? Because I think happiness is a different thing. I think happiness is kind of like your state of being, your demeanor. And while you might not be satisfied with the results you've produced over here, it doesn't have to negatively impact your happiness, if you know what I mean. I kind of mentally separate those to a degree.
Okay. And I see that. I would see that, and I could even agree with that. Not everybody's like that. There's a whole bunch of people who aren't, and that's a whole nother conversation, is how you choose to interpret that. Maybe a better way to say that is, if you're not satisfied, or if you want something to be different,
right,
or if you don't like where you're at a certain place in your life and you want it to improve, the first step is own it. Yeah. It is yours. And you have arrived in that place because of the effort, because of the time, because of the decisions, or lack of time, or lack of good decisions. And so to me, that's step number one. Don't blame others. Don't blame circumstances. Take responsibility for yourself for where you're at. Yeah. And then once you have that awareness, you can make the decision to do something about it in a more meaningful way, I believe.
Yeah, agreed. And I think there's signs, right? So, do you ever, and I'm just speaking generally to anybody that wants to ask themselves this question, have you ever felt like you were alone in this world, and that, when you needed help, there weren't people coming forward to help you, whether it was with a project or, whatever. Have you ever had that feeling? And then the question I would ask you is, did you take a moment to have some self-reflection and maybe evaluate how much help you've offered others? Because it's really kind of a what comes around goes around. Um, you can't. Well, I mean, you certainly can, but it's not going to be productive to have the expectation that other people are going to help you, and all the while you're not doing anything to help other people. I mean, that's just the way the world works.
It's a great point. You're absolutely correct. And okay, so we're talking there about, in one respect, a friendship. You're right. Being a good friend takes work, takes time, it takes effort. You got to put in that time and effort and talents and money and whatever. You're right. And I've had this conversation with many people. I'm sure you have too. The most recently being with my daughter. If you want a good friend, be a good friend, which is exactly what you said just now.
Yep.
Using slightly different words. And so, yeah, you take the action. There's going to be you're going to get the feedback and the equal and opposite reaction that comes back to you. Guarantee you. You decide to invest in a friend, just like you said. You decide to invest in helping other people. That's going to come back to you.
Yeah, and don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you help other people with the intention of getting help back. It's just, don't get upset when you need help and there's nobody there to offer it for you and you haven't helped anybody else out.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so I think this concept, like I said, for me it was worth just dusting it off because I think it applies. It applies to fitness. It applies to your habits. It applies to your skills. You got a skill that you want to get better at. Maybe it's singing, maybe it's typing, maybe it's something at work that you want to get better at. You put the time in, you put the effort in, it's going to come back to you with improvement. When you don't do it, it's not going to happen.
Right. And I think there's so many things that you can see immediately how this plays out, and do your own little experiment. Like happiness, we mentioned earlier, smiling, do a one-day experiment. And when you meet total strangers, smile at them and see what happens. People, I think that they can't even help themselves. It's almost an instinctual reaction. Now, yeah, there's going to be exceptions to the rule. You run into, assholes all the time. And for the most part, you'll get your smiles returned. And it's cool to watch. And I think, right. You can use that same mindset with anything, whether it's, kindness or meanness. You walk around with a nasty attitude and treat people like crap all day long. Yeah, that stuff's coming back to you. I guarantee it.
For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. There you go. Those are perfect examples of it. That's right. That's right. And smiles are contagious. They really are.
They really are. Yeah. I mean, you can't help but do it. And I love to do it as just a social experiment. I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty happy individual anyways, and have a positive demeanor, and I still like to do it. It's fun because it not only do you get to watch the reaction of other people, it fills you up when somebody returns that smile.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool thing to do.
You bet. Yeah. So think about work. Here's another way to sort of wrestle with this topic. And let's say that you want to be better at your job. You want to get higher performance evaluations because your performance evaluations are tied to your bonuses, and your bonuses are tied to, all of that is tied to your potential for promotion and all that kind of stuff. So the question I would ask is, well, what are you doing about it? Are you just showing up every day and going to work? Or are you really trying to get better? Well, how can I get better? Okay, well, why don't you start with your performance evaluation system? And why don't you look at the categories that you're being evaluated in? And then you say to yourself, wow, I'm being evaluated in my ability to communicate. I'm being evaluated in my timeliness. I'm being evaluated in my punctuality, whatever it is. And then you start thinking, well, how can I improve in those areas? What can I do? So this is you investing time and effort and,
with intention.
With intention. This is your action for every action. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to learn some things. You're going to get better.
Yep.
And you're going to get that higher performance evaluation because you put the time in to do it. There's the equal and opposite reaction. Otherwise, a lot of people say, man, I didn't get the bonus I wanted. Well, why didn't you get it? You didn't get it because you probably didn't deserve it. That's not always the case. I know that.
Yeah.
Bonuses are a tricky thing sometimes. So you can't just broad brush paint everybody with that same color. But you get my point. My point is you're going to get out of it what you put into it.
So true. That matters in every aspect of your life, whether it's
right.
The relation. You mentioned friendships. If it's what about the relationship with your significant other, your level of input in an organization that you belong to, something that you're spending time working in. How much are you getting in return? Well, you're probably getting something in return that's roughly proportionate to how much you're putting in.
Yeah, I would say exactly proportional. Honestly, I really would. You're right. You're exactly right. And so if you've taken the time to own it, to own where you're at and what you're focused on and whatever issues that are in your life. And by the way, it could be something that's very good as well. Like own it. I worked my ass off and I achieved this and I'm going to own it. And I can look back and find out what led me to that point.
Right.
What led me to that point is you put in the time and the effort and the thoughtfulness to get
there.
there.
And there's value in that too, because those things are repeatable, right? There's clues. Success leaves clues,
right?
And pay attention to those things so that you can lock them away and use them again for the same performance level in other things.
Right. So in one of these areas, you decide you want to improve. You sort of describe in your own head what that improvement looks like. What is that desired end state that I want to look like in that area? You plan an approach and you get after it. And there again, for every action, that will pay off. We've talked about this before. I like to play golf. I want my golf game to get better. But if I just go out and play golf and I don't practice, I just go out, I'm going to go play golf today. Never go to the driving range, never go to the putting green, never work on those sand shots. If I don't do that, I'm going to keep getting what I'm getting.
Right. You're going to keep playing like me.
Right. Exactly. No, and I mean, it's like I said, it's just good. This is the blazing obvious. This really is. This stuff is the blazing obvious. But every once in a while, it's good to just sort of shake yourself and remind yourself of what the blazing obvious is.
Yeah. So while we say that it's the blazing obvious, that may be true. And at the same time, we've also had the conversation about everything we learned or everything we needed to know in life we learned in kindergarten.
Right.
And we're still having to revisit it. I mean, the self-help industry is a $1 billion industry for a reason. Because people are still searching for things to give them the level of fulfillment and satisfaction that they feel like they need. And many of the things that we think are obvious and right in front of us are things that folks have forgotten how to utilize.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a great refresher, and I'm glad you called this out.
Yeah. So let me make the point in a different way by asking you a question. Do you think life gives you what you deserve?
No. I have a little different aspect of the way I think about that. So I don't believe you get what you deserve in life. I believe you get what you expect in life. And I think along with the expectation comes the drive and the action, behaviors, and so on necessary to make it happen. Nothing is coming to you by osmosis. This life is what you make it.
Okay. I think we might be saying
probably
have similar views using different words.
Yeah.
I would say you do get what you deserve. Life is going to give you back based on the input that you put out there. Now you said based on what you said, what you expect. I don't think it's just what you expect, because there's no action there. There's got to be action.
Yeah, well, I followed that up, right?
You
So
did.
yeah, what you
You did.
expect, and then yeah, so they are
Right.
tied together. I would agree.
Right. Because if you know, I mean, I expect that everybody treats me right and gives me money because I'm a handsome fella. And that, you know, that does happen a lot, but you know, probably not as much as it should, because I
Oh, but
had
they do that not because you expect it, because you have the behaviors to support that expectation.
there you go. There you go. I'm kind of teasing about that, by the way, but
Yeah,
that would be nice. Yeah,
I know
people.
you're not teasing. I know. You know, I know you walk around thinking you're a handsome man. People give you money because it happens.
It doesn't happen. Why doesn't it happen?
Uh-huh.
Is that delusional? What is that?
No,
Well,
I think it happens.
oh, you think it does happen?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I look forward to receiving $10 from you next time I see you. Thank you.
I'll buy you another bottle of spiced rum.
There you go. Yeah, that would do. I actually, I think I owe you a bottle or two of that.
Nah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I guess like I said, I think we're saying the same thing differently, but I do believe, and this is for everybody to consider in your own life, you get what you deserve. You do. If you are putting out there the things that you need to be putting out there to be a good person, to be an ethical person, to be in good physical shape, to be good at your job, to be your whatever, that's gonna come back to you. Your action is gonna give you life is gonna give you reaction to your action. And so yeah, and I think as long as you take that on and own that yourself, it's just a good way to think about how to approach things. So
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, you know, another way to look at this, and I was thinking about this argument as you're saying that, is, you know, in parallel with this subject, right? So every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So, you know, literally, you get what you expect out of life, I think is accurate, because what you're putting out there is exactly what you're going to get in return. And so it shouldn't be a surprise to you.
right. There you go.
Because you're putting that expectation out there by conducting yourself in that manner.
Right. Right.
But I agree, we are saying the same thing, just different, you know, different words.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, there wasn't a whole lot more to it than that, other than just to sort of remind myself, and therefore remind you, and therefore remind our listening audience that you're going to get out of it what you put into it. There's going to be equal and opposite reaction to the investment in whatever it is that you're doing. That's going to come back at you as much as you put into it, as much or as little as you put into it. There you go.
Very good.
Yeah.
So
That's my little.
excuse me, what caused you, I think you kind of alluded to this, and I don't know if you want to share the actual facts and circumstances, but maybe you could just summarize what caused you to think of this. Right? What was the
You know, just it's my own personal journey. As you know, I not long ago finished reading the book Atomic Habits, which I loved, and you know, so I'm working every day on trying to instill new and strengthen existing habits that are good for me. Whether it's going to bed on time, whether it's eating the right kind of food during the day, whether it's getting after it at work on a project that I'm working on, or chunking down major project into smaller pieces. All of those things to me are sort of swirling around, and I'm thinking, I'm going to get out of this what I put into it, and I have to have the discipline to put these things into place. And so yeah, just I think it was just the overwhelming thought that I'm working hard to try to get some things really locked down in my life in a way that is good for me, and I know that over time that will come back. That will come back to me in the form of results, or money, or improved relationships, or whatever it is, you know, whatever area of life that we're talking about. And so there you go. That's why it came up.
Very cool.
That makes sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. I like the whole, for me, this very much took a more of an emotional direction, and how, you treat people, how you put yourself out there, the way you express gratitude, the way, you are generous with your time and how you communicate with people, all those things come back. So, when you are experiencing times when you're in your life where you don't feel like, you're being treated the way that you want to be treated, you might need to evaluate how you've been treating other people because that's coming back to you.
That's a really good point, and probably one of the most important areas in life to consider is that whole idea of relationships that you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we just need to be kind to one another,
Yeah,
and there's you see a lot of that, and you see a big void of that in a lot of places too.
you
Uh,
do.
you know,
Yeah,
it just you know, being an angry person is non-productive. Anger is going to destroy the vessel that it's contained in, so it's not hurting anybody but you.
yeah,
Um, so, and by being angry and carrying yourself and interacting with other people in that way, you're just asking for more of it, and it's coming.
that's right. It's coming back at you. Equal and opposite reaction. There you go. See, you're making my point all over the place.
I am damn sure making a solid effort at it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I mean, that is the purpose of the conversation, I think,
It is
and to
perfect.
share some good information.
Right, right.
Yeah, just to get you thinking about things in a different way and maybe reevaluating how you're conducting yourself.
Yeah. Well, there you go. In other news, I'm sorry, I was going to completely change the subject. Um,
I'm ready.
I went to the barber shop today, and I was looking at myself in the mirror at the barber shop as I was getting my haircut, and I was noticing that, yeah, I'm still I'm still pretty brown. Things are looking good in my brown hair.
Really? Okay. That's that's unfortunate that your vision has declined that much over the years. I mean, I don't know. I say over the years, but you could have been colorblind all along. The military, the Coast Guard, they test for that, right?
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. I mean, I think it would be important for you navigating the waterways of the world to not be colorblind. So, at what time do you recall when the onset of that was?
Yeah, yeah. We really do have gray beards, don't we? That's
Yes, we do, and some long damn teeth.
yes,
So,
yes,
so Terry
indeed.
Tucker reminded us.
That's right. That's right. He's a good man. That was a fun podcast last week. That really was.
Yeah, he is he truly is an inspirational guy. And the whole I think motivational speaker is a misnomer because you can't motivate anyone. Motivation is an internal drive, and the only person that can motivate you is you.
Yeah,
I think really what motivational speakers are, if they're any good, is inspirational speakers,
right,
and I would absolutely put him in that category. And I like the way, because his website it says motivational check,
right.
and I think that's good because uh, it really is an internal check because that's where your motivation comes from. So check it, see if it's where it needs to be. If it's not, then go get some more inspiration from somewhere.
Were you guys talking about chainsaws? Was that before we started recording or after?
I don't
Um,
remember.
or yeah. Anyway,
I asked him just because of the conversation that we'd had with Casey Knowles.
yeah, I think that was before we started recording. So I'm gonna repeat something that he said that I thought was, and if you haven't listened to that podcast, go back because this is a guy who has suffered with some very significant issues in life, and you'd never tell it by just the way he reacted to us and his talk and his passion and his positivity and his attitude
Yeah.
is remarkable. But he had to have most of his left leg amputated, because of the cancer that was eating at that part of his body.
Right.
And Bryant was talking to him about chainsaws, I think.
Yeah, because he brought Casey Knowles up, and then that caused me to think of chainsaws, and that's when I asked the question. Yeah.
He had the best line. He said, "No,
great.
I don't play with chainsaws anymore because I only got one leg, and if I was playing with chainsaws, I'd have none." And just the fact that he could have that kind of sense of humor,
Right.
Under the circumstances, and he's not all woe is me and down in the mouth and all of that. It was just very inspirational. Very inspirational. There you go.
Agreed. And he was quick, I mean,
absolutely
very witty on the response there.
Right. So there you go. Thank you, Terry Tucker.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked out his stuff after listening to the podcast, go do that. Motivationalcheck.com.
Yep. That's all I got, Bryant.
That's it?
That's it.
We're done?
I think we might be done, unless you got something else.
No, man, it's a good conversation, good subject, and a good reminder, and a good, internal status check for us all to evaluate how we're showing up, and the clues that are being returned back to us.
Absolutely. Yeah, so thank you for your thoughts and your commentary. I appreciate it. I hope folks got something out of it.
Yeah, and thank you for coming up with this topic. Appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome.
All right. Well, I'm going to reach over here and I'm going to hit it hard enough tonight.
Yes.
And we'll see if we can get the timing right with the whole technical delay, right? No matter who you are, where you are, what you're doing, make sure between this podcast and the next, you take time to
enjoy the ride.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Great Beard Chronicles. Please subscribe so you'll receive notification when new episodes are available. To learn more about the Graybeards, visit their website, graybeardchronicles.com.